Hi everybody, thank you so much for tuning in, and today I want to talk about self-awareness. Yay, the self. It's all about the self. But yes, it's all about the self. Everything, every change starts with the self, and it starts with self-awareness. So what self-awareness is, let me define that for you. Self-awareness is just kind of being aware of who you truly are as a human being. What does that mean? So basically understanding your strengths, understanding your weaknesses, understanding what you like, what you don't like, understanding what makes you feel uncomfortable. That is basically, in a nutshell, what self-awareness is. And when I started in my journey, I really started with what is it that I like and I don't like. Let's see. I started to pay close attention to everything that I did, from getting up in the morning and understanding why I don't want to get up from bed, asking myself a lot of questions of why it is that I do everything that I do. And that is considered to be kind of like the road to happiness, because you actually start to realize that some of the stuff that you do, some of the habits that we have, either they work for us or they work against us. And a lot of times when we are trying to introduce new habits into our life, we have to let go of old habits. You know, what they say is let go of things that no longer serve you. So it starts with really self-awareness, because if you don't understand, if you don't know what are the things that no longer serve you, then how are you supposed to introduce new habits into your life when you don't even know what it is that you want to change about yourself, or you kind of do, but you're not quite sure, right? So it really just starts with the self-awareness. I remember I always used to have a really hard time waking up in the morning. It was so hard. So instead of just me being growly and like just being in a bad mood like I always was for many years, I kind of just started to ask questions like, why am I in a bad mood? Okay, I'm in a bad mood because I don't want to get up in the morning. Okay, why do you not want to get up in the morning? What is it that is holding you back from getting up like a normal human being and just doing the things that you have to do? That usually leads to, well, I don't like my job, or that leads to, I don't want to do what I'm going to do. And a lot of us we don't want to face that. We don't want to face that emotion. And actually you're doing a lot of damage to yourself when you do that, when you don't want to face the emotion, when you don't want to realize, or you don't want to come to terms that you don't like the job that you have. And I was there, I was in that position, and many of us are in that position. So you're not alone. That's something that I want to make very clear for you guys. You guys are not alone in this. A lot of us, most of us don't like our jobs. Most of us don't, I hate to say this, but most of us don't like our family. I don't want to say most of us on that one, but a lot of us may not like our family. A lot of us may not even like our friends, or may not like our apartments, or may not like our lives, basically. And a lot of us, I realized this with the years and with myself and meeting people and getting to the career that I am now, that we don't want to face these things. We don't want to become self-aware. But the truth is that if you really want to change your life, if you want to understand what happiness is and find happiness, then you kind of have to go through that, understanding why it is that you don't like this, why it is that you don't like that. And that is kind of how shadow work starts. And shadow work, what it is kind of understanding your own shadow aspects of yourself, which means the aspects of yourself that you don't want to go there. They're usually aspects of yourself that have trauma in them, or have pain, some sort of pain. I just want to make something very clear, guys. We all go through trauma, one way or another. We go through trauma. Nobody's trauma is bigger or worse than somebody else's trauma, even though it may seem like it. But the truth is that we have all hurt. So we have to really acknowledge that. I understand that somebody's past being that they got kidnapped one time and something horrific like that happened to them, compared to somebody, their friends getting divorced. You may see one trauma worse than the other. Not necessarily, guys. Everybody has hurt at one point or another, and if we want to get through this, we need to become self-aware in why it is we are the way we are. And this is not only for people that have gone through trauma. This is for the everyday folks that want just something better in their lives. And I know that just the fact that you're watching this video, that lets you know, it has nothing to do with me anymore. But thank you for watching. But that lets you know, your subconscious self, your real self, that you want to change, that you want something better, that you are in the search of an awakening, as you can say. You are in the search of, well, you're in your spiritual journey, or you're in your self journey, whatever you feel comfortable calling it. But when it comes to being self-aware, it's truly that, asking yourself a lot of questions. I remember I would ask yourself all kinds of questions. It really is. So what I used to do is that I would even ask myself, like, why is it that I had long hair? Why is it that I'm wearing the shoes that I'm wearing? You know, why is it that I'm wearing the dress that I'm wearing, the shirt that I'm wearing? Why is it about the shirt that I like? Or what is it about the shirt that I don't like? You know, I remember some time ago, some years ago, when I realized that I don't want to wear heels anymore. I don't want to wear heels anymore, and as you can see, I'm very feminine. I love being feminine, but at the same time, I love being other things. I like dressing like a rocker chick. I like dressing sporty. I like to have different facets in my life. And one of the things that I realized is that I don't want to wear heels anymore because they hurt my feet. They hurt my feet. So for a very long time, I didn't wear heels. And I just came to terms with that, because I realized that I can also be beautiful and look nice without having to wear stilettos. And I had a collection. That's another thing. Ask yourself why it is that you have the things that you have. I loved collecting shoes. I love collecting shoes. Now I realize I don't need to collect shoes to feel important. Why do you watch the shows that you like to watch? Why is it that you constantly have to be entertained? Why is it that certain things make you feel uncomfortable? That is part of becoming self-aware. And there's different hurdles that you go through when you start to learn to become self-aware. Because a lot of the times at first it starts with a lot of discomfort. It starts with, well, I don't like that, and it makes me feel uncomfortable. Well, why? Well, because it reminds me when I was a child, or it just reminds me of someone that I don't want to speak of, and things like that. It just and then it turns into the, well, I don't want to go there anymore. This is why I don't like talking about this, because it makes you feel uncomfortable, and that is absolutely fine. That is where you have to kind of practice compassion for yourself, or self-love. And it's okay to feel uncomfortable. It's okay to, how can I say it? It's okay to feel the things that you feel. It's okay to be you. But at the same time, there has to be a point where we have to let this go. Excuse me. And when we face these things, when we face the things that make us feel uncomfortable, and when we have a greater understanding for the things that we do like, all of a sudden, we kind of just start to let go of those things that make us feel uncomfortable. All of a sudden, we don't feel that discomfort that we used to feel towards that. And then we kind of start to move on to other things. We start to move on to other self-awareness kind of things. And after a while that you start to do this, you actually start to do it on other people, because you start to see yourself on other people. And then that's kind of where, like, even like self-love really is to be born, because you become more compassionate with yourself, and hence you start seeing the same patterns in other people. For me, that was like the coolest thing ever, because I started seeing people's, not only through their pain. I feel a lot of people's pain. I grew up feeling that, so I grew up feeling very burdened by that. But then, you know, when I started to kind of just wanted to change my life and stop being the victim, because we tend to be the victim a lot. We love doing that, and it's kind of part of our society. And I'm gonna make a whole other video on that later. But when I decided to kind of get out of my victim role, oh, I feel people's pain, and he hurt me, and things like that. When I started to really touch upon the things that make me feel very uncomfortable, I started seeing people with more kindness, and I started seeing people's pain as the fact that I went through that. So therefore, I became just nicer. I became nicer. I started to really understand myself for who I was. I started to, you know what? I started to realize what I really, really liked, and that was really liberating for me, because it wasn't about this media anymore. It wasn't about listening to music, even though I adore music, but it wasn't so much about like being hip, you know? It was more like, well, I want to do this because I really like it, and I don't need anybody else to influence me. It's not about the trend that's happening. It's not about what's going on the E! Channel and the celebrities, what they're wearing. I want to wear that because I like it. I want to, you know, go somewhere because I really want to go somewhere. I remember when I went to Costa Rica for a spiritual retreat, and I told my mother. She was like, "What? Why are you going to go to Costa Rica for?" And it was so, I mean, there was a part of me that was like a little disappointed, but there was a part of me that started laughing because she didn't know any better, right? And instead of me being angry, I was a little disappointed, because of course you want your mother to be like, yay, my daughter is doing a spiritual retreat, that is so wonderful and that is amazing. But guess what? My parents, my mother, she's a human being, she's not perfect. I know she meant the best, and instead of just being hating on her, I was just like, no mom, it's gonna be amazing, it's gonna be beautiful, Costa Rica is amazing. And that's it. I went on with the show, I went there, I had a beautiful time, and that's it. When I came back, I came to show the family how wonderful it is, how all the pictures, and not only that, I came back feeling so good about what I did. Doesn't matter what people told me, I still did it. Another thing was that when I traveled around Europe by myself, everybody and their mother was like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. It's scary, it's this, are you sure? Thank God, this one, my parents really, really backed me up on that. It was really wonderful to have that. But a lot of people didn't back me up on it. A lot of people were asking me questions like, why are you doing this? Are you sure? Have you seen the movie Hostel? You know, things like that. And yes, I did stay in hostels everywhere. I did get my wallet stolen. I lost a lot of money. I was by myself. There was a point that nobody spoke English and I was crying in the street. But guess what? I pulled through. I made somebody help me out. I got in contact with the banks and I pulled through. And you know what? After that, my trip got so much better, because I was able to use my survival skills, and I had nothing but to get up and keep going. And actually that just made everything so much more awesome, because it just made it so much more adventurous. I didn't have the credit card to swipe everywhere. I was on a budget, and every couple of days I had money transferred to Western Union, and it just made things so much more amazing. It made me more aware. In other words, it just made me more aware. Why? Because this is the money that I have, this is where I'm going, this is what I can do, this is, you know, like, and it just happened. I could go on all day about this, But the point is that it just happened and it flourished, and I flourished. I became an adult. So I definitely recommend this for you guys. Just little by little, ask yourselves why do you eat this? Why do you like that? Why do you have this? Why? Ask yourself all kinds of why questions. Ask yourself what irritates you. Look at yourself whenever you're having a disagreement with somebody. Look at yourself for a moment. Be like, why am I so heated over this? Why do I have to curse so much? You know, and little by little you'll start to kind of put all the dots together. And for those people that really want to encourage, for those people that really want to go in a spiritual path, I encourage you to practice this every single day, because the more self-aware you become, the more psychic you become. You start seeing the patterns in things, you start seeing energy, you start seeing everything. You really start seeing a lot more than what you thought. This world is so magical, but when you become self-aware, you start seeing the magic eventually. Because there's just so much more than this physical 3D reality that we live in. So, anyways, guys, I just wanted to leave you with this. Please follow, like, whatever you want. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you like this video. I really love talking about this topic. If you want any more information, you can always contact me. You know where to find me. Mwah. Bye, guys. Thank you.
Thinking of you, maybe I'm painting